Well, good afternoon, everybody. I'm going to do a short series here on finances in the Philippines. I've been asked by a number of the viewers of what does it actually cost to live here in the Philippines, and I'm sure those of you out there who are thinking of moving to the Philippines, maybe finding a Filipina wife and that, are curious about what the cost is to be able to live here. And the best way I can do this is actually to tell you my story. Basically, the money I brought here, I was able to bring here, and what it cost over the last, oh geez, I'm going on 9 years here already. Wow. That's kind of wow. Yeah, I really forget sometimes, and I have to remind myself that it was actually May in 2010 that I met Beth, and it was in July that I came here for the first time for 4 months. So yeah, we're creeping up on almost 9 years here. I've been here, but this will give you a little bit of an understanding of what it costs to live here. You can live if you're wealthy enough and your retirement is great enough, and you're making a monthly income that's great enough. You can live like a Westerner here. There's no problem about it. There are things you're going to miss because there are products, materials here that just don't exist. There's no Walmart here. There is no, oh geez, the big, what should I say, the big lumber stores, merchandise stores, out in the country here, they just don't exist, period. And so there are a lot of things that you basically, quality things, and especially quality things, that are just not available here no matter where you look. It's why I've fabricated a lot of my tools, and I've had to do a lot on my own here as far as planning and building and that, because what normally is available here is so far removed from what the building is in the U.S. For example, wood. Most homes in the U.S. are basically what we call stick construction, 2x4s, 2x6s, 2x8s. And they construct the house from this, put up the outside wall, put in the sheetrock on the inside, cover it with mud and everything like that. In the floor you run your plumbing, and your electrical is running the walls and everything. And all the wood that you basically get is kiln dried, straight as an arrow in most cases. And you don't have to worry about just the wood changing shape or anything like that. Completely different here. Everything is built with hardwood here because there is no softwood here. We're in the tropics. The only thing that survives and really grows is hardwood, and you wouldn't even want to build with a few softwood trees that are here. You wouldn't want to use them because the termites will decimate them, and the bugs here, which there is no winter here, so the bugs are here 24/7, 365 days a year, and I mean they're here. one of the hardest things to get used to is they never go away, period, no matter what you do. So the hardwood here is basically green cut and is built with green wood. They have a knack of being able to, the twists and turns in the wood, to be able to counter them with how they build, and they can put up some pretty straight and amazing structures. And of course most of the people here would love to build with all block and concrete, but even that's different. Our blocks in the US are 8 by 12 inches. Here they're 4 inches wide. Okay, and the quality can range from absolutely poor to excellent quality depending how they're mixed, how the concrete's mixed, and how they're made. So there's a lot of differences here that you're not going to ever run into in the States. And so I think the biggest questions that get asked, of course, are always financial. What's it going to take to live in the Philippines? I've got this much money to spend a month. Can I live there and live a reasonable life? You know, you want to at least be halfway comfortable, as I'm definitely, I would say, more than halfway comfortable here. So I'm going to start out more or less with my story of what I came here with. I sold everything I had in the U.S. after I was here for 4 months, went back, basically sold everything there, brought all that money along with me here to the Philippines, and we started off, and I basically came here. I retired at 62. My Social Security was under $1,000 a month. I have no pensions. My savings was 36,000 US dollars, which is 1.8 million pesos here. So overnight in flying here, I became a millionaire. Wow. Which was really surprising. But right now with the exchange rate, every 20,000 US dollars is about a million pesos. That doesn't mean it goes as far as $1 million would in the U.S. By far. It goes as far as you're able to stretch it to make it grow. So when I came here, I had, like I said, Social Security was my only source of monthly income. It was under 1,000. I'm just going to call it 1,000 US dollars a month. I had 36,000 in savings. And that was it, period, to be able to start my life here. And I knew nothing about the Philippines. I knew nothing about what it was going to cost here. I basically hopped on an airplane and took a super big chance that I could live and survive here. And of course, it's 9 years later, it's all worked out for the benefit of both Beth and myself by looking at what we've been able to accumulate, the land we've been able to buy, and the houses we've been able to build. So when I came here, that's what I had. We started off, we bought a small house. We originally were living in an apartment in Mactan, which is Lapu-Lapu, which is across the bridge from Cebu. She was working at MEPS, and so basically renting, okay? We bought the multi-cab at this time. We decided to come and visit Bohol to see if it was possible to buy a house or some land over here, and that's kind of where we started in 2011. We bought a small house that was, it had the walls up, it had the roof on, that was it. There was no doors, windows, or anything, and it was on a small lot, about 300 square meters or so. We took that money of my savings and finished the house on that lot completely. A matter of fact, in 2011 in the fall, we were married in that house. As I continue here, we still had some money, left over. Land became available across the road because we were kind of back in amongst the locals. We were off the main road, and a piece of property came in on the main road in San Francisco, and we wanted to be able to purchase that, and we got a good price on it, so we bought that. Starting to build on that, we put our other house up for sale. In the process, it was sold to an Australia for 800,000 pesos. So again, what we did was replenish our income by selling that first house. It allowed us to finish building the second house so that we had at least a place to live. In the meantime, land became available in Burgos at a super good price, 2.5 hectares for 400,000 pesos, and because I had the money at the time, we were able to purchase that and to be able to start building. At this point, most of the savings were gone by building the other house in town and coming out here and starting to build a farm out here and that. And we were fortunate enough at the time that a Filipino actually who lived in America came and decided he wanted to purchase about a little over an acre of our property out on the farm because he saw it was a perfect place to build his house. With that money, and that at that particular point it really saved us, you know, because we were almost at the point of a standstill as far as building and everything was concerned. And you must remember, with my 1,000 pesos a month, we were able maybe to take 10,000-15,000 of the 50,000 pesos a month and put it into building and doing the projects that we were doing at the time. The sale of that property allowed us to basically almost finish everything. We finished the house in town. Another rental property was put up. Her sister at that time with her husband and son were living on that property. And we were able to start actually planting the trees, building the nipa hut where we lived for 5 years here, and the kitchen here, the comfort room, what started out as kind of my tool room, and a place where we could raise some chickens. So you can see how we progressed from small to bigger, again to the farm, by being smart on using the money we had, not overspending. And that, like I said, I came here with $1,000 every month through my Social Security, 36,000 US dollars in savings. That I would consider a minimum. If you fall below either one of those two, I would strongly consider, and especially if you're not good on a budget and not able to plan ahead, not able to pull in the reins on your own spending, you're going to be in trouble here. And a lot of expats that have come here have fallen into that trap and basically wind up, oh boy, renting a small place in Cebu or somewhere else and spending their daytime hours at the mall watching the traffic. And I didn't want any part of that. And there's plenty of them in that position right now that are living off a thread and a shoestring here, barely able to survive. I consider myself fortunate. I worked on the budget. Beth was extremely helpful on budgeting our money and not going overboard on anything else, and I think those are the two most important things in order not to get carried away here with it. So at that particular point, we'd sold the first property. Our second property was done. Beth's sister and brother-in-law were living there with their son, and we were living out at the farm. And so this is kind of my story of what I started out with here. And like I said, I would consider it really a low ball figure. You know, if you fall below those two figures for income and savings, be very careful about moving here, because the living can be kind of tough and that for you. The other point of it is, I'm on another video, I'm going to go through the do's and the don'ts of moving to the Philippines. Wow. And we've run into expats on the do's, and we've run into quite a few of them on what not to do when you're here. Oh boy, and I can relay some pretty interesting stories on the do's and the don'ts here. And also another video on my budget. What my monthly budget is now that I'm at the farm with chickens, with pigs and everything else, and how I'm able to budget that 50,000 pesos enough that I'd only survive but have a little extra money in order to finish some of our projects. So I'm going to say goodbye for this first part. Thanks for viewing. Like and subscribe. I hope this has helped out. If you have some questions, please leave a comment and I'll try to answer them as quickly as I can.